Hi, everybody. This is Nate Beyer of GX3 Media, and you are listening to the GX3 Media podcast. Or maybe we should call it the re-resurrected GX3 Media podcast. Look, I tried this thing about 5 years ago. I did it for about 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I don't know. It was during our stay at home time. It was COVID time. Nothing was happening. I wanted to start a podcast. I probably had thought about it earlier, even in that year. I just never got around to it. And obviously, with our stay at home orders and stuff like that, it just made a lot of sense to try. I loved it. I think it gave me an opportunity to tell different sports stories than what I get to do through all the photography we do. Again, having conversations with coaches, players, other folks that are kind of just around sport, but not necessarily a coach or a player, or, they don't necessarily uh, directly impact the game. Anyway, those conversations were wonderful. And that's why I've missed doing this. I've had a couple of close friends that have urged me to get back into this, to try this again. I kept telling him, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. We're going to do it. And we never pulled the trigger. I quite honestly, I didn't think, and even right now, I don't necessarily think that I'm good enough or that the production is good enough. But that's why I need to try it. We all have to start someplace. I guess we all have to, crawl before we walk. I don't want to hear that. I want to be able to run right away. I want to have a high level program. I want to have good topics, good guests, nice, let's say, video stuff, studio set, lights, cool, fun sound effects or whatever, a catchy jingle that everybody remembers whenever you hear it. That's what I want. That's the dream. I guess if I had it all, what else would I have to achieve? There's, I guess, more to work towards right now. Anyways, a few weeks ago, I left a somewhat cryptic post on one or all of our social media pages. Something about the next evolution of GX3 Media, begins this week. Well, I think that was in reference to last week. Last week I had 5 straight days, no work obligations. I took the opportunity to try to crash course myself in an upgraded form of podcasting. What I mean by upgraded, I wanted to try to do something a little different than whatever I tried the first time around. I've watched a lot of YouTube. I have read a lot of instruction manuals. I've put together a bunch of stuff, found problems, succeeded over problems, tested audio, done a lot of yelling at the computer monitor. Again, we're doing exactly what we should be doing, which is making mistakes and trying to figure it out. This audio, if you choose to keep listening, will eventually get to some good history about why I'm doing this. But for the time being, I'm just going to put all my cards face up on the table so everybody else can read them. Guess what? I don't really know what I'm doing. Not completely, but we're trying to figure this out. It's a new medium. It's a somewhat new medium. It's a medium that I've put some more resources into this than I did the first time around. It's still very exciting. And I know that there are unique opportunities and unique ways to present sport through this medium. That's why I want to pursue it, learn it, be excited about it, and try something different. We've done photos for years. Okay, let's rephrase it. I've done photos for years. The last few years, I've added Logan Everson to kind of our GX3 Media family. Not that she doesn't get a choice, but she wanted to start doing some photo things, and more or less what happened was she didn't have great equipment. I got her better equipment. We tag team sporting events probably better than anybody else in the area. We cover a lot of stuff. And I have to give her a lot of credit. She has bought in at least 100%, if not more. Even for the podcasting thing, I think today was one of those times where she said, "Yeah, I knew that you were going to get yourself in over your head with all this. There's a lot of work involved with podcasting, more than what you thought." She's right. Even so, she's been supportive, and I think she wants to see the brand grow in a slightly different direction, just because, again, it scratches a different itch. For those of you who are familiar with me, I do have a tendency to talk a lot. I love to talk to people. I love the good old fashioned Midwestern goodbyes that take 35 to 68 minutes. She doesn't always like that. That's fine. But the point is, I love talking to people, and taking that love and planting it into this type of a medium. Why not? I mean, that's a natural marriage. I mean, the only thing that might be a more natural marriage than that is, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly. Anyways, the GX3 Media podcast, when I started it, I wanted to tell sports stories. However, we didn't have sports happening back in April, May of 2020. Anything that was happening for sport was like this weird underground. We shouldn't talk about it. We don't want people to know that we're actually playing baseball over here. We don't want people to know that we're actually, we've got 7-on-7 football, or we've got, soccer actually happening. And golf, well, we're just going to kind of look past golf. No one's really going to complain about, everybody golfing out in big spaces. I didn't have sports. I had to make up topics. A lot of it was history related. A lot of it was current COVID conditions related. Hey, what are we going to do with football? What are we going to do with this? Are you sure we couldn't have played baseball? A lot of hypotheticals. Again, it was me developing content. I was excited to develop content, I was excited to develop concepts of content. And then I just had to think about the right Jenga block to pull in order to get the better or best interview I could. I've got to know a lot of coaches in different ways because of those interviews. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Anyways, what I want to hit on here today before I wrap this up is just the history of where I came from. Again, growing up, I had a high aptitude for drawing. Drawing was my thing. I remember being told, none of my teachers really hated the fact that I spent more time drawing probably than doing school stuff. I was also pretty good at getting the school stuff done, but I do know that I had one that tried to limit the subject matter that I was drawing, and that was a challenge because, again, when I get involved in something, I go in head first, and the whole rest of the body follows. I'm kind of an all or nothing in that regard. Anyways, drawing was my thing. I moved through different, let's say, pop culture properties. Growing up in, I would say, the late 80s, early 90s, there was a lot of stuff to kick through. You went through your typical Saturday morning cartoon things. Eventually, I made my way to baseball. Baseball was a big deal in the early 90s. I made my way to comic books somewhere around 5th or 6th grade, and there's some other things that came in there. And all those things are still hugely impactful on my life today. The way I like to put it is this: I am where I am today because of comic books. And you might ask, well, I wonder how that happened. Well, I'll tell you how. Comic books are essentially sequential it's sequential storytelling. So this panel to this panel A, B, C tell a story. Are we not doing the same thing with photographs? Especially sports photographs, well, I guess any photograph. Photographs are like panels in a comic book, vice versa. And being able to string these images together tells a story. Now, the way that technology has developed as well, different aspects of social media. I've had some different life opportunities happen. Currently, I've been working in newspaper the past 20, 25 years, but like directly in newspaper the last 5 years in a pretty big way. Anyways, it's all kind of, we're storytelling through panels, through a single image. Again, in a comic book, it's typically a piece of drawn art what I'm doing is I'm taking the same sort of thing, and we're trying to make newspapers out of that, at least on the newspaper side. If I post things on social media, again, we're trying to capture those moments and create a story or a single moment that tells a story. Storytelling. That's really what it comes down to. Anyways, the evolution for me, again, it was drawing. Somewhere in high school, right at the end of high school, I started dabbling with video. I actually did video for a number of years. I loved making sports highlight films. It was a gas. It was good. It was fun. There are still certain songs that when I hear them, I'm thinking back to like, oh wow, that was the 2002 Royal Football highlight film, something song here, or this song comes on like, oh man, that was the Viterbo men's soccer hype video sort of thing. There are different things that have hit me throughout the years from video that still pop up. But from video, then it transitioned into photo. I picked up some photo opportunities in college. Um, but the back half or the back third, the back couple of years, I really got involved. And a lot of it too, my opportunities grew as I improved the technology, as I improved my hardware. Then again, when I added more crayons to my box or of what I could do, then I got better at what I did. And the same thing continues to happen as I buy different equipment, more equipment, newer equipment. Again, the hardware kind of facilitates some of the dreams. Anyways, drawing, art was always a thing. Video, loved it. Again, still art things involved there. Got to photo, did photo, have been doing photo for 20, 25 years of some sort. I've come back and dabbled in video here and there, but again, it changes. It changes with how we do it. And the same thing has happened kind of with this. Like I said, I wanted to try my hand at podcasting. It was fine. I think we did an okay job. I'm hoping that we can get back into it and try some new things here. Anyways, a lot of what I'm talking about today is me just trying to test. I need to test things. I need to continue to fail. And I hopefully will continue to fail. Again, I don't know if I necessarily need to make this perfect. I need to make it, number one, presentable. And number two, once we get to presentable, now we can just stop worrying about the technical and we can really process the content because there's stories out there I want to tell. There's stories out there I want to share. And I think that's the fun part about what I get to do. And we're coming up on another school year. Another school sports season starts next Tuesday. That's, only 4 or 5 days away. I have been trying to crash course myself so I can be ready for that, so I can deliver some new things from our brand. We've done photo. Like I said, we've done photo. We've conquered photo. There's always going to be an opportunity to share a cool image of, a game winning touchdown, last second escape in wrestling. Maybe it's a state record, relay and track. There's always going to be that, and capturing those moments still requires some bit of skill. But I think sharing stories this way is also important. And that's why I'm excited to see where we can go with this. I'm excited to see how we can take this basic idea and let it permeate or change or mutate into something completely different. Again, I've got some dreams, I've got some hopes, I've got some ambitions for what we can do. I don't know if I have time for it all. But again, if I'm not coming up with new things to do, then we're just dead in the water. Anyways, this is our test, a test that also hopefully educated you along the way or made it kind of fun. We'll see how this podcast kind of rolls out, and we'll see where we go from here. I'm excited to see how it happens. I'm terribly nervous to fail. I am scared at all the technical things I don't necessarily know. And all that's also exciting at the same time. I think I've seen too many people do podcasts of some sort that have just been inspiring. And I want a piece of that pie as well, because it looks like they build communities, they have fun, they have a group of people, a really like a tight knit group of people, and like this little nucleus of people. But then there's this bigger community that also likes to hear what what they have to say. There are topics that everybody wants to hear and talk about, and I truly feel, and this is what I've said to a couple of people that have talked to me about this. I truly believe I can give a slightly different perspective to everything. I mean, I'll put those cards back on the table face up. I'm sorry, is this a secret? Don't tell anybody this. I'm not necessarily the biggest sports guy, I don't know everything about sport. I'm a terrible X's and O's kind of guy. I also think that's one of the benefits I can bring, because I'm not an X's and O's kind of guy. But the observations I have from being on the sideline or hiding out in the woods during cross country meets or where else, wrecking my back sitting next to a mat for wrestling. There are different observations that are unique to me, and I think that's what can make this form of media different than anybody else who would try to do the same thing. And I think that's kind of the fun of it. It's also something that I don't necessarily want to look at like I do with my photography. Photography, I'm looking at as a way to avoid having to get a real job. To me, this needs to continue to be the fun thing. And if we can find a way to parlay that into dollars and cents, so be it. I truly believe if you do good things and people will follow you, and businesses, whatever, the money will come. If you want to make money at it, you have to do it at a certain level. If you build it, they will come. Dude, that's definitely a sports quote. Anyways, I'm going to end this here because we've gone about 16 or 17 minutes at this point in time. I don't need to eat up everybody's day. If you like what we're doing, this is where I'm going to start, and I will hopefully build up from here. If we can bring in guests, so be it. That's what I love to do. We are going to find a way to provide a unique high school sports related podcast. If you see me on the street, if you see me someplace, ask me how it's going, give me some ideas, if you have ideas for names, I've got some name ideas for this thing. So it's not just the GX3 Media podcast, but these are things that, again, I'm going to be willing to listen to. If anybody has suggestions for some technical things to kind of give me a leap and a jump ahead of where I'm at now, share those things. I'm open to a lot of ideas. Like I said, I think this is the kind of thing that it's for me, but it's also for everybody else as well, especially if they like listening to high school sports of some sort. Anyways, thanks for listening to the re-resurrected, the whatever, the third volume, I guess, second volume of the GX3 Media podcast. Yes, we'll work on that name. But until then, thanks for listening. As always, we love your support, and give us some feedback. Let me know where we should go with this thing. Until then, enjoy your sports-filled day. Thanks, everybody.